In the next 48 hours, this 2,400 and some page bill is going to pass the United States Senate. But how did we get there? Was it done the way things are usually done in this body? Not at all. One party has been able to gather 60 votes to vote for this. Not one person from the other party is going to vote for it. Now, how did they get those 60 votes? Did they get it by arguing this out? They didn't do that. They have bluntly, boldly, and on the front of virtually every newspaper in this country have bought the votes to pass this bill, to get to the 60. They bought the last handful of votes, and they didn't even buy it with their money. They bought it with the American people's money. Now, that is wrong. The explanation I heard from the majority leader the other day is, well, that's the way this is done. Well, that may be the way this is done in banana republics. That may be the way this is done in third world countries, but this is America. American people are outraged over this. The other party ought to be outraged over this. I heard one member quoted as saying, well, I was too stupid to get any money for my state in there. I heard the minority leader saying, well, you're not doing your job if you don't have something in there for you. Where's the outrage from the other side? Not only about the process itself, but how they're getting snookered by some other members of their party. Where is the outrage? The American... I've watched the debate from the other side, and I've seen members come down here and say, the American people want this. Well, are they living in a cave? Sure, there's a handful of American people that want this, but let me tell you who doesn't. The United States Conference of Bishops don't want this. The National Right to Life people don't want this. Not one Republican wants this. The Democrats don't want it. Listen to what Howard Dean, the former leader of the party, of the Democratic Party, said, quote, at this point, the bill does more harm than good, end quote. Ask any Democrat governor in America. This bill transfers $25 billion in costs in unfunded mandates to the governors and to their taxpayers. They've got to come up with $25 billion. They don't want it. I've stood here and listened to the other side say, oh, this is wonderful for small business. Small business is going to come out so well on this. Well, then why does the National Federation of Independent Business, small businesses, say, quote, the Senate bill fails small businesses? The National Association of Wholesale Distributors, the Small Business Entrepreneurship Council says, small business group says, read health bill, more of the same, more taxes, mandates, big spending, and nothing to help lower insurance costs. Associated Builders and Contractors are against it. The National Association of Manufacturers are against it. The Independent Electrical Contractors, the International Franchise Association. Even the labor unions have said, don't tax our health care benefits. We agree with them. We're on the side of the labor unions. We shouldn't be taxing health care benefits. But set all that stuff aside. These are all people that have an axe to grind. The American people do not want this bill. These people that are coming out here that's saying the American people want this, I don't know whether they're not reading the newspapers, whether they're not listening to their own emails at their office. Quinnipiac poll says, that was out this morning, Tuesday through Sunday, 36% of the American public support the health care spending bill. 36%. 53% oppose. That's an 18% difference. Gallup says 61% of American people don't want this. Stop coming out here and saying the American people want this. The American people don't want this. You want it, but the American people don't want it. Leaders in your own party don't want it. The labor unions don't want it. Nobody wants this thing, and most of all, small business doesn't want this. You know, I've listened to anecdote after anecdote after anecdote from the other side, and there are some very touching stories, and everybody over here is empathetic with that. But you don't legislate using anecdotes, because you're only hearing one side of the story. You're not hearing all of the facts that have to do with those anecdotes, and to then pat this 2,400 and some pages and say, and this will solve that. That is not the way you legislate, and it's certainly not the way you argue a point. I've heard them come out here, the other side come out here, and they pat the bill and say, you know, when we pass this, 94% of American people will have insurance, will be covered by health insurance. You know, in court they say you have to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and that's exactly why. You can't pat this and say, well, now 94% of the American people are going to be covered. So somebody listening to that would say, gosh, what a wonderful bill. It's going to cover 94% of the American people. Costs $2.5 trillion. That's fair to cover 94% of the American people, but it doesn't. The bill only adds another 7%. The fact that they don't tell you is 87% of Americans are already covered by some kind of health insurance. So don't say this is a grand and glorious victory because we're now going to cover 94%. 87% are already covered. This is gimmickry at its worst. To tax for 4 years without giving any major benefits, giving some minor benefits, but holding off the major benefits until later is plain gimmick. Is it's not going to add to the national deficit because we're going to collect taxes for 4 years, and then only then are we going to start the benefits. Well, you know, what do we have here? When all is said and done, you strip it all away, you got $2.5 trillion. 2,400 pages that most people don't understand, higher taxes, higher insurance premiums, and I can give you one fact that is the best reason to vote against this, and that is it cuts $500 billion out of Medicare benefits. If you are a senior watching this, $500 billion of Medicare benefits are going to disappear. I heard the president say, and I heard my friends on the other side say, look, if you like your program, if you like your insurance plan, you're going to be able to keep it. Well, try to tell that to the people that are on Medicare Advantage. It is being stripped. It is being eliminated under this bill. Indeed, if you read the rules and regulations under this bill, the plan that you have won't even exist when it's done. You know, I've heard the other side say, oh, you Republicans are just playing on the fears of the American people. Well, let me tell you something, my friends on the other side. The American people are frightened. They're afraid. And it isn't just this health care bill. They've sat here for the last year and they've watched stimulus packages costing $1 trillion. They've watched multi-billion-dollar bailouts. They've seen buyouts. They've seen trillion-dollar deficits running up. They've seen the national debt now run into trillions. And yes, they are afraid. But it isn't us that's doing it to them. It's you that have done it to them. And it's you that have committed the acts that have put the fear into the hearts of the American people. Don't do this. Stop this nonsense. You have the opportunity still to stop this. You can do it. The American people don't want this. Stop the insanity.